So, good morning and welcome to a suburban garden. This is a garden in South London, my garden, and I thought I'd give you a tour of what we've got, and then I might do some things in a little bit more detail in the future, but it's a Saturday morning around about 9 o'clock, not much going on. Now, some people might be here because they follow what Masco does, and this is his famous shed. Thank you, Crow. When we first got this house, the entirety of the garden was shaded by some large Lelandii. We had them removed, and then we got some landscapers in just to flatten out the back of the garden because our garden's higher than the houses behind us. Now, we have quite a relatively large garden for London to work in. Like, it's not huge, but it's got enough to keep us busy. So along here we've had a sleeper bed put in. So this is full of fruit bushes mainly, and I actually do know what they all are. I found all the tags to say what they are, but they're not with the plants at the moment. So if people are interested, I will tell them what we've got later, but there are various currants, gooseberry that is doing really, really well. Now, these are probably, I'm unlikely to be able to tell you what they are, but maybe I'll have them in my records. I do try and keep a journal of what's in here. And we have like an arbour that got recycled here. There's a lot of recycling that goes on in this garden. There are lots of bean poles around, which you can spot the bean pole for. The reason for those is because that's the train going by, if you know it. The reason for those is because the cat likes to run around. Here is where we like to do some entertaining. We do have a lovely table, so hopefully over the seasons you'll see how we use the area. Along here I've grown more of the rubus. I think mainly here I've got blackberry and a sunberry. Hopefully it'll fruit. I haven't had much fruit up till now, so hopefully we'll document that. And then we had trellis put in because our garden, as I said, is higher than a lot of the others. So we put trellis in and we're growing various things up. Again, I can give you a tour. In front of that trellis, we have grown beech for kind of like a long-term plan. It's growing really slowly. Maybe I should feed it more. This bed does look much better than this normally. It's just coming out of winter, so I'll replant it soon. A jute, which I think is about to flower and has shieldy bugs on it. Oh, I don't think it'll focus for me. And this is our cherry tree, which is now finally flowering. A complete and utter freebie. Found it in a pot, just growing here, so that was great. So I have like a perennial bed here, mainly with penstemons. This stick has had to be put in here this morning, just not the cat. But this perennial bed, again, I can give a tour of what's in here. It should all come into leaf quite soon, get bigger, that'll be great. Here is my favourite bit, which is the pond. With the magic of editing, I'll go and switch it on in a second. And with the magic of editing, we now have a working pond. This has a bit of a backstory. We asked the landscapers initially to build a rockery with the pond. So they did do all the pond, which was really, really good. They dug it all out and they put the lining in for it. But they didn't really know what a rockery was. So they basically, these rocks that you can see here and here were there. They had put the kind of cascadey bit in and some rocks either side of it. But they thought what a rockery were these random bits of rock that we see around the garden. So we actually had to then break some of those up, and then we actually made a rockery. Now, I love rockeries in small gardens because you can get such diversity of plants in a very small area. At the moment, it looks really dishevelled. I've recently pruned quite a lot of bits on it. I do try to read books, and I do try to listen to the advice of my elders. But sometimes I'm just like, that doesn't look very nice, so I just prune it. And it might be the wrong time of year, but we'll find out. I think, so we've got saxifrage in flower at the moment, which is looking glorious. Look at that, incredible. But hopefully over the next few months, we can document it. I love the thrift. I've got about 3 different types of thrifts. There's a pink one at the top there. This is a variegated version. Hopefully it'll come to flower. And over there, there's a white one. But obviously I'd love to give you a more in-depth tour of that, and as things start to flourish a bit better or survive my heavy pruning. So at the top we've got a Japanese Acer from my mum. Well, probably via me, because my mum liked Acers. I bought her a lot of Acers. So she then had rehomed them with me. Now I have a garden. here is kind of like a work in progress garden. Part of the garden. Most of the garden's work in progress. These are hornbeams, which originally were planted along here. We put in better fencing and have grown up climbers. Things like the honeysuckle is still in leaf, so I look quite green. But the clematis is a really lovely ones. They're coming into leaf at the moment, so they'll look really, really good once they're flowering. So it seemed a shame to be growing long term something like hornbeam that would eventually become a tree and conceal it all. Behind here is a hazel that was here when we got here. Once it's covered in leaf, it provides quite a lot of screening. We're quite overlooked some of the time, so I'm looking forward to the things coming in leaf. We've got 2 compost bins. They actually both were here when we got the house. One at the back is very much a dead compost bin. I'm hoping this summer to like reinvigorate it. One at the front is very much alive, and I'm happy to talk about the kind of things we put in there and the health of it and some of the creepy crawlies we find in there, because there's some really fascinating things in there. So along here is kind of what I want to become. Ooh, gravel. What I would like to become our cottage garden bed. It's got perennials in at the moment, but the idea is it to be a big mix of annuals and perennials. I've planted in some delphiniums, which will hopefully do okay, as long as the slugs don't eat them. And then there are some, I've recently kind of changed up my mind, so I think I've put some jutsia in here. It might be a white one, we'll see, because it's about to flower. I want to say that's a verbena, but I'm not sure. Again, if people are actually interested in plants, I'll go through. I'm pretty sure these are beginners. These do really well. And we did leave one hornbeam in, the idea that it will grow up eventually. This bed is really shady. I thought it was much more shady than it is. A lot of the plants are doing really, really well here. I think it stays quite moist, but but it seems to get quite a lot of sun. So things have done quite well. This is actually a goji berry. Hopefully it produced one last year. And various other plants. This used to be where I tried to grow meadow plants, but it didn't really do well because it was a bit too shady. So I've got another plan for meadow plants this year. This is a beautiful, like, kind of tree fuchsia that is wildly growing here. It was here before we came. We cut it back. It survived by some miracle. And then this is our front garden. Again, we are a little bit overlooked. So we have a lovely privet hedge, which we had completely hacked back, and it's now recovering. We have some bins. This bed here has mainly campanulas, different types of campanula, and something related to trefoil, and a fuchsia, another fuchsia that was here when we came. It's related to that other one there. Might even be a baby from it that's surviving. So eventually another project to do is just to make sure this is all weeded and beautiful. And then the front, we have roses. I want to say they're called African day lilies, but I don't think they are. But there's various things going on there. We've got some daffs, got some campanulas, and this is like a sedum bed. There are things in there, but again, it needs to be weeded. Aquiledia's coming through. Now, around this part of the front garden, you'll find that there are roses. In fact, we even have a rosebud forming. This is a rescued little conifer. He's so cute. This little rescued conifer was dumped 2 Christmases ago. He's been living with us, and he gets decorated for Christmas, but he's not yet been put in his rock home. We have hanging baskets, but I've not done anything with them so far this year. These geraniums overwintered miraculously. This bed is really, really dry. So I've tried to grow plants that are going to be quite well established. There's a clematis that was here when we got here, but I put rosemaries and lavenders. I'd love to be able to just walk in and get that smell. So I'm hoping that they're going to be there, and some sea hollies. Some nice grasses. This is our front bed. Again, this has got lavender in it. I just love the idea of waking up and smelling lavender. It would be so amazing. And a hellebore that's really quite well established. It was here when we got here, and it has all these baby ones. So this bed I'm kind of trying to get to be big perennial bushes that I don't need much maintenance, and then maybe room at the front for annuals. We have a beautiful Japanese Acer that came from my mum. St John's wort, some potentillas, a potato plant. Well, it's not really a potato plant, it's part of that family. It has purple flowers when it flowers, and lots of different types of polyanthus. I've got no idea what that is. Oh, it looks interesting. I'll keep an eye on it. Some more hellebores and various other polyanthus which I need to deadhead, and more polyanthus, and another rose. These ones I got gifted for my birthday, which was lovely. A lovely egg, probably left from the fox. Probably she's dug it up. More roses, more polyanthus. We have a St John's wort that grows up through. It's like a rooted one, like a small one, miniature one, that will probably come in and cover this over the seasons. Cowslip. And then here's what I'm trying to. This is my work in progress area. There are many. This is my woodland part of my garden. So we've grown various things along here that are perennial and like shade. This is woodruff, come from my parents' garden, and this is my little fernery. Not looking very good at the moment because I've not weeded it, but it has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different types of fern, which I do know all the names of, not off the top of my head, but I could go through and tell you about them. But I do love ferns, so I'm hoping this year I'll mulch it, keep it really moist. They'll do really well. But these are gorgeous. These are wooden enemies. One of my favourite little kind of like woodland plants. Doing really well. Some perennials coming through. That one's really weird when it will come through. We transplanted some of the hornbeams here, so we have them at the front. These pots that are kind of all around the base are positioned to stop the cats from pooing and everything, and just generally causing a ruction. But they have hostas in, and hostas coming up, so that's good. They'll look really good once they're up. Fingers crossed. I don't know if that one survived. And then along here, this is our old Christmas tree and bricks. I've planted, there are some established and some new foxgloves. Idea being that they'll grow quite tall next to this building, but they won't create big roots. And they'll like the fact they're a bit more screened, they're away. So that'll be good for them. More wild type cyclamens. You often find cyclamens in the shop. These ones are really wild kind of varieties, hardy. That's how they describe them, hardy. But they've not flowered this year. Hopefully next year, if I actually get this path sorted, sort myself out a bit, get them composted nicely, get them mulched, is the word, mulched. We moved in and there was this really lovely box hedge. Now, another thing I keep you updated is how to keep your box hedge box moth free. In the UK, unfortunately, we've got an invasive species. So boxwood is native to the UK. It's not too far away from where we live. In fact, where we got married, it's called Box Hill. It's where you find some of the few remaining native boxwoods. We are really lucky in that respect. This is a hedged variety, cultivated. However, we've got an invasive species of moth that's arrived, which eats the leaves. And you can see this is kind of like a bit tatty. Now, normally meant to keep box really quite well shaped, but this box moth literally devastates the entire thing. In fact, I was walking down, we're walking quite a lot lately since things have changed, and a lot of other people's box plants are completely leaf free. I'm really against using insecticides, so this is looking much healthier than a lot of other people's box hedges, because I discovered a biological control. It's a bacterial control. It's a spray like any other, but it contains bacteria that is toxic and to the larva, and so it should minimise damage to other caterpillars. I did notice one caterpillar on the other day, so I think I'm going to treat it soon. So I'm happy to do a video about it. It was really effective. I mean, I still have damage from last year. I'm more than happy to kind of show stages of what to look out for, how to treat it. It's a German company that produced it, and I've got all the details. They sent me an email recently about it, so it's been really, really good. So our front garden is quite nice because we are lucky that we get a view of it, and the birds come every day, so that's really good. But yeah, so that kind of ends the tour. My favourite bit, the birds, feeders, ends the tour. And I hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely day. Hope you're all keeping well.